Why do we report? Okay, so knowing the status. So what?
Whether you are improving or
Sorry? To take actions. That's what we want to do. We don't want to measure for the sake of measurement. We really want to do any meaningful actions that will help us progress better. Meaning, stay on the path, ensure that we do deliver great quality, we are on time, etc., etc. Whatever that is. So just having charts and metrics is really more just verification is useful. Now, how many of you have iPhones here? Any iPhone? Sorry. So in iPhone, when you swipe the main screen, is when you, let's see. That, this. I can't show it here, so I'll read it. Okay? So when you take an iPhone, when you see the main screen and you swipe it down, you will see something. What do you normally see? You will see this appointment today. Whether it's temperature, maximum is so you can customize what you want to see in that quote-unquote screen. What I like about iPhone is it does not give you dry data. This is what it says, as per my calendar. It says today is Subrata's birthday. The weather is partly cloudy conditions with 34 kph winds out of the west, and the high will be 28, partly cloudy tonight with a low of 90. Oh, you have a meeting scheduled at 2:40 at Unicom train. It does not just give me a chart. That's what it used to do before. It used to just tell me 9 o'clock this meeting, 10 o'clock this meeting, this guy's birthday. Bangalore temperature, high, maximum, minimum. That's like just charts, right? You know what it does now? It will actually, instead of talking, as good as talking, convert that into sentences. I like this form. And that's what they did. They understood that ultimately the same nonsense which is out there inside, but if you can actually make it a little more human by explaining you, it's more fun. And therefore, the numbers, which are dry normally, or any information becomes a little more alive. When it becomes alive, you know what happens? You connect better. And when you connect better, you know how to analyze better. So you get more information of saying, are they within the limits, how do they compare, what kind of heuristics you can apply, and therefore make more interesting informed decisions. And that's the description, the prescriptive form again, of information that we collect in whatever form. That there could be any metric, any subjective/objective information in the context of the report. So what I'm trying to do is to look at the way we kind of analyze and solve problems, taking a cue from 4 things from the life cycle of things that we do in the testing aspect. Starting from understanding, as simple as understanding anything. How do I really come up with interesting questions? Please.
I've just seen the describe of describe. Describe, say, storify.
Is ultimately you would have certain things to check with, right? So you might have a control chart, you might have limits, you might have certain benchmarks and numbers to meet with, etc. Those are the things that you will have, which will be fundamentally prescriptive, right? So what I'm saying is, before we jump on to that, please get a little more interesting idea of what are we trying to do, and therefore make it more interesting. Right? So descriptive is a very fundamentally human trait. That's why we always grow up reading storybooks. That's why storification is always useful. And that's why I think today gamification is becoming more interesting, because it connects to you. Right? So you do something and it says, so many likes, you feel happy. Now, why the hell do you care about those likes? Just because so many people said they like you so much doesn't make you any better. Truly no. But they're human beings. We like to be appreciated. We like to have more likes. Right? And that's the funny part. So gamification is ultimately, taking the dehuman stuff and making it some sense human. And that's exactly what this does in our context of certification here. So in whatever that we do, a more interesting way of describing something Does not mean you write lots. Please don't mistake me that I'm asking you to write anymore. No, it's nothing to do. Giving the who a pride of place in anything that we do, whether it is from this notion of understanding, starting the question from who does what, when, how much, why, what do they value, and then who is expecting what, and then therefore setting up a baseline, who is doing what, when, and therefore converting that into a series of meaningful conditions, and ultimately looking at it from, hey, this is what it is, who is going to interpret what, and what do we want out of it, and that's where from the reporting, makes it a little more interesting. So the approach, therefore, in terms of solving, so to speak, a problem in any sense, with these 4 applications, has got always 2 parts: description, prescription, description, prescription. And both of them are slightly different characteristics. One is interesting enough to get into insight, and in the process try to come up with more questions, whereas the other one is very clean, precise, formal, help you solve the problem. And ultimately they all turn out to be some notions of conditions or rules, the conditions are strung together that ultimately form rules. That's really what it is all about. So whenever you want to understand something and you want to ultimately have that absolute sense of clarity, which is the Zen part, right? So you never have perfect clarity. Perfect clarity, it's a bit of an oxymoron, because the day you start looking at finding more clarity, looking for more, you find life is more complex. Have you experienced that? The more you dig, the more worse it becomes. Have you experienced that in life? Right? Once upon a time, life was simple, right? About 300, 400 years ago, they said matter is made up of God knows what. Molecules, they said. Then Mr. Dalton came and complicated the matter. He said it's made up of atoms. And somebody else came and said, no, 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 it is made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Then some more physicists came and said, no, 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 it is made up of much more smaller ions. Now today we said there are zillion particles that are out there. Let me find that one super particle using the large hadron collider, the God particle. Life was simpler before. The more you dig, the more interesting it becomes. So does it mean it is more complex? It is complex as long as you don't understand it. The day you understand it, it becomes simple. Right? So the fun part of the problem is having that voluminous amount of data and information out there, but still making ultimately enormous amount of sense at the end of the day. And that is where clarity comes in. So clarity does not mean you understood everything. It just means you are able to connect all these dots and you are able to see the picture pretty neatly. And the day you do that, bugs will stand in front of you. And that is the day I dream about every day. So that I can close my eyes and visualize everything and see the bug in front of me and I don't have to do a damn. When I do that, I would have attained the Zen of testing. Okay, believe me, there is Zen lot of other places. People do achieve it. It is not too long and there are going to be such people who are able to visualize. It is not anymore just an activity with eyes and hands. And that's really the fun part. That is where life becomes more interesting. Otherwise, it's a goddamn boring job. That's where I want to stop. I say, look, when you want to understand, storify, describe. When you want to solve a problem, state rules, prescribe. The next latter is highly under motion. The former is highly emotional. So as a parting note, just as before we close down and have a nice cup of coffee, hopefully. You know what philosophy says? Philosophy says, philosophy in the sense, all of us want to be happy. Happiness is a very complex word. It could mean money, it could mean chocolates, it could mean anything else. It could mean nothing at the end of the day. So one of the most startling philosophies says, or the simplest one it says, thou shalt do all activities with complete attachment, complete fervor, complete happiness, complete connection. But thou shalt not be attached to any outcome. So if you understand Gita, that's what I'll tell you. And they have a nice Sanskrit word for that, a phrase. They will say, completely attach yourself to activities, disengage from outcome. When you do that, outcomes will always be wonderful. But if you have this wonderful notion of trying to desperately make the attachment happen, the outcome happen, once an event will not happen, and that would cause you enormous amount of grief, right? Which is the opposite of happiness. It's a beautiful philosophy to sit and understand in a classroom. Bloody hard to practice in real world, isn't it? To stay unattached to outcomes.
As you say, you don't expect anything, you'll be the happiest person in the world.
That's always true, isn't it? If I expect zero, what do I have? That's why they always have this wonderful notion, infinity is zero. You say, what is the mad guy? Point here, what I'm trying to tell you, how to connect with this concept is when you describe you're completely attached, and therefore whatever actions that you do is amazing. When you're completely implementing those actions, you have to be completely disattached. That's prescriptive. So one gives you the startling clarity, another gives you the fantastic execution. And why in the name of God will you ever be successful? And that's the philosophical word I wish to end this little talk. So, this is not something that is startlingly new. It's just that I kind of portrayed this from a slightly different perspective. So whenever you read something or describe it or understand something, make it a little more fun. And therefore, let the sessions or whatever that we do in the context of testing, let it not be yet another dreary job. Of course, 80% of our day is always certain things dreary. You can't say, I'm feeling bored today. I've been brushing my teeth for the last so many years. Today I am not going to brush. It's not going to work. Well, I've been visiting the toilet every day. Today I'm feeling bored. I don't think I should do that. You can't say that. So there is quite a bit of stuff that we do every day which is highly repeatable. And by the context of the word, it is bloody boring. If you are very mindful about it, you have great fun doing it. And if you have great fun doing it, outcomes are always brilliant. Whether in the commode or sun. And that's what this is all about. Describing gives you the attachment, and prescription gives you the outcome.